Hi loves, thanks for returning. So as you know by the thumbnail, this video is going to be on some of my favorite foundations. I'm also going to talk about a few tips that I like to use in order to get a softer, natural type of appearance. So if you're interested in hearing what a few of my favorite foundations are and some of those tips, then just keep watching. So I just wanted to go ahead and tell you all that I have foundations that range from matte to luminous, and the reality of it is when you get into a certain age group, you do have more fine lines, you have wrinkles, you have things that you want blurred, and at the end of the day, a matte foundation and a matte powder and just a matte everything is just going to magnify those issues. Now, and the reason I decided to talk about matte and luminous, because even though you are in a certain age group, that doesn't mean that you have just dry skin or just oily skin. Some people may have combination skin. So I'm just going to talk about some tricks and tips, and some you may already know about. So for the most part of it, I like to look matte. However, if you look at me in person and I've just matted my face down, it doesn't look all that good unless I'm going out at night to a concert or a romantic date or something like that. Then, you know, you really can't see it. But let's be real, when you get out into the daytime and you have that matte, stark look, and if you have some issues going on, I have texture, I have fine lines. When you have a completely matted down look, those things are accentuated. So some things that I like to do is, first, I like to start off with a clean canvas. And you know, I think that everybody should do that. And what I mean by that is have your skin routine already done, have your skin prepped. I also like to add a Marula oil, and this is it right here. And I like to use this oil if I have a very, very matte foundation, such as this Kat Von D Lock-It foundation. So I would put maybe 2 drops of this in it, or you can put it on your beauty blender and you can add it to this. By this foundation being so mattifying, and it also is full coverage, this oil is not going to take away from any of that pigment. By adding the oil, it's just going to move you into, instead of having a matte flat type of look, you'll have a more, it won't be luminous, but it's going to move you out of that area of that flat look. So if you do have some fine lines, you don't have to worry about that. And if you do have issues that you want covered, like some hyperpigmentation or some scarring and things like that, you can still benefit from a foundation like this. Also, you can mix your foundations. If you take this Kat Von D foundation and mix it with this Aqua Luminous foundation and lightly powder, this is just going to give you the best of both worlds. However, apply it sparingly. And when you apply it, start by applying it from the inner part of your face. You can put dots, like a couple of dots right here, right here, right here, and right here, and work outward. And by this foundation being so thick and full coverage, and this one being luminous, it's going to be enough to spread out and cover your entire face. So that is a trick that I like to use when using a really mattifying foundation. I still want to have some type of matteness to it. However, I just don't want it to be the type of flat matte. So these two foundations are one of my favorites, and I like to mix them to these two. Also, I'm sure you all have probably heard of adding oils to foundations and things like that. That part is nothing new. So if you're going to use an oil, I would recommend using the Marula oil. And Marula oil it's a thinner type of oil. It absorbs very fast, and it has some microbial benefits, which means it's going to kill the bacteria that causes acne. So you are going to get some benefits. So another favorite of mine is this Bobbi Brown Skin Foundation. This is in the stick, and I like the stick because you can pop it in your purse and use it on the go if you find that you need to touch up when you're out and about. Now this foundation, I find it to be already luminous. However, if you do find that you really need to set this foundation, what you can do is take your compact powder, okay, and a little pad like this, and And instead of just kind of going around in your powder and, you know, rubbing it on like this, fold it like a little taco, okay? And then roll it in like this really good, okay? And then when you put it on your skin, you press and roll, press and roll, press and roll. You never want to swipe it in like that. And then you can apply the powder in just the locations that you know you're going to need it. So if you know that you're oily right in your T-zone, you can just apply it there or right here, just wherever needed. But this particular foundation is really great. It's not at all going to accentuate your fine lines. And sometimes if something is a little bit too luminous, that can also have you looking a certain way as well. But I think this is a really good foundation for mature skin, and it's just going to have you looking beautiful. So the next foundation that I want to talk about is this Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation right here. The color that I have is Cocoa Ko, and I like this. I think that this would be a really good foundation because for this one you don't have to set it. I find it to be a natural type of finish. Now some people don't like the smell, so if that's something that you can get past, you can definitely try this. Now if you find that when you do wear this foundation you have to set it and you want to set it with a powder, you can use a large fluffy brush like this and a loose powder. And the reason that I say use a large brush like this is because with a large brush like this you're going to apply the sheerest type of coverage, okay? Now if you don't want to do that and you want to apply powder but not all over, and you want to apply a normal type of coverage, you can get a smaller denser brush and you can just powder where you know that you're going to get oily. But everywhere else with this particular foundation you don't have to set it. And I'm speaking about not setting it because once you add a lot of powder and a lot of product and things like that, when you have more mature skin, it just starts to settles and it just starts to look cakey. So in order to avoid a cakey type of appearance, that's one way that you can use this. You can apply it and not set it. I think this foundation is really pretty and I think that it has a decent shade range. All right, so the next one that I want to talk about is the Estee Lauder Double Wear. So this is pretty much a popular foundation. I think probably everybody has this one. So the thing of this one is, for me, this one is very, very mattifying. It's very drying. So this would be the type of foundation where you could add the oil. You can add a drop or two with this, or you can add it to your beauty blender. And this would make for a really great foundation because it's already full coverage. It's already not going to transfer. It's just a really good formula. So that would be a tip that I would use to avoid this foundation really accentuating any issues that you may have on your skin. So the next one that I want to talk about is the Smashbox Studio Skin 16-Hour Foundation. This might be the longest wearing foundation that I have. And when I say longest wearing, I mean probably could wear up into the 8-hour mark. Now the type of skin that I have is pretty normal. I do get a little oily in my nose and on my forehead, but this one you could really get away. It's a medium buildable type of foundation. Now with this particular formula, you're not going to have that cakey type of look. When you apply it, I think it would be best to apply starting in the middle and moving outward. If you do have blemishes, what you can do is you can spot conceal. I have the Industrial Concealer by Benefit and I really enjoy this. What I like to do sometimes is if I have some issues and I don't want an extremely heavy look, what I'll do is I'll spot conceal, okay? And really this, even though it is thick, once you get it on the skin, it's not like you have a thick clump of makeup. Okay, the thickness is just to cover up your issues. But what I'll do is I'll take this concealer and cover up whatever issues that I have, and then I will go over it lightly with this foundation, but I'm going to start from the middle and move out. And then after that, I will lightly powder with a fluffy brush and my powder. So that is definitely a technique that you can try. But this Smashbox foundation, this is really nice. It's really pretty. It already has a natural type type of finish. It doesn't lean too matte and it doesn't lean too luminous. It's already somewhere in the middle. So definitely try this one out. And then the last one that I want to talk about is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this one is because it has a concealer already built in. So that's less makeup that you have to apply on your face. So anytime you can apply less makeup, that's always good. With this one, this is another one that you don't necessarily have to set it. If you do feel like you have to set it, I would advise, if you feel like you need powder, I would just use a powder like this, and I would use this method where you have a little compact and you dap, roll, because this one is already leaning towards a matte finish, but this one I definitely think that you can get away with not setting this foundation. This one is really, really pretty. So the Clinique Beyond Perfecting, definitely try this one if you haven't tried it. So those are just a few of the foundation and some little tips and tricks that I like to use. They're pretty common, and I wouldn't be surprised if you've heard of all of them already. If you have any other tips and tricks that you'd like to share, let me know down in the comments below. I would really appreciate it. So that is it, and until my next video, smooches.